Welcome to the NDSU Extension Innovation Team Tech Coffee Break for February. I'm Bob Birch. Great to have you guys join us for this conversation. This month we invited a few people who had been active on Twitter in their extension work to join us, and we'll be highlighting some of their work. But as always, Tech Coffee Breaks about what you want to talk about as well, so feel free to chime in either with your microphone or in the chat. Ask any questions, share your success stories, your challenges, anything that you want to contribute to the conversation as well. So you're just talking to Andy. Andy Robinson is here, and Andy's done some work on Twitter, as has Stacy Wang. Thanks for joining, Stacy. Miranda Meehan is here as well. I know others on the call have been active as well. Carrie Johnson is pretty active on Twitter. So maybe we'll start there. Andy, I know your microphone's working, so I'll pick on you first. Do you want to share with us just what's your approach to using Twitter in your extension work?
Yeah, so I try to utilize Twitter as a tool to share new information that we have coming out. So be it extension articles, meetings, sometimes, and actually in the summer we do a lot of forecasting of diseases, early blight, late blight in potatoes. So we have severity values, and so we share that information, aphid counts. So just trying to get information out to people. And then usually we utilize Twitter with some kind of image and try to lead them back to a web page which has more information.
So that's you mentioned driving traffic back to a web page. That's an intentional strategy for you. Is that sort of what you're trying to do? Or are you following the conversation of what people are talking about, or a little of both?
Probably more so of driving people to the web page where there's more information. But sometimes, there are conversations that occur. The challenge I have, I think, with conversations somewhat is I get people all around the globe that follow me because potatoes is kind of a small world. And it can be difficult to have a very technical discussion on something that might vary from region to region. And so that might be one of the challenges. But again, it's a good tool. There's a lot of people who, will utilize it and whatnot. And I do have conversations with people from time to time.
Thanks, Andy. Hey, Miranda, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about what your approach with Twitter has been with your extension work.
Okay, so my target audience, even though I have followers from all over, is our stakeholders here in North Dakota and people that are going to be attending my meetings, have attended my meetings. I kind of started as first just advertising my meetings and what's going on there. But then as we have new information, sharing that information and driving people to those publications and resources as we have those made available.
And Miranda, and maybe we can go back and ask Andy this too. So do you tell us about the accounts that you use? So do you have an account for your topic area, a personal account, both? How do you use them?
Twitter, I only have I have one for my program, but it's just myself on that one. Facebook, I have too many Facebook accounts. It's almost too much to manage.
So you're managing multiple pages, or?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Awesome. And Andy, remind me, I think you just have a potato extension, like U of M.
Yeah. Yep, I just do my program is all.
Right.
And then, but yeah, I pretty much, I guess what I do, and I'll just tell this in general for like the social media aspect. I have a Facebook page that I utilize. I've been doing some Instagram stuff, and then I also use LinkedIn. LinkedIn's probably the only one that I kind of, I guess, I kind of mix it with my personal stuff a little bit, I guess. But I try to like get information out there too, just because a lot of my clientele are also friends with me on LinkedIn. So.
Awesome, thanks, Andy. So just to get some other folks involved in here, Stacy, what are you guys doing in Twitter for food nutrition? What's your guys' approach?
I manage a couple of different accounts. In food nutrition, we use it for marketing, classes, or showing off what other agents around the state are doing in our area. We also use it for education purposes. Link back to the website, like Andy says, we try to do that. And then for our hashtag adulting Twitter account, we mainly use that for education, and then a little bit of evaluation with our program participants.
So when you're saying evaluation, can you explain that for me?
So we will give them a task of showing us some adulting practices that maybe tie into the month's theme. So laundry month, they were asked to tweet us pictures of them doing their laundry or doing some sort of adulting task. So we're using those to help show that our program is making a difference. We're also using it during our sessions, our face-to-face sessions themselves, and posting or tweeting questions on there for them to go and answer.
That's cool. So you guys have the adulting or use the adulting hashtag. Miranda or Andy or anyone else who's using Twitter on the call, have you coined your own hashtag, adopted hashtags, joined in discussions that were already going on using hashtags to kind of loop into that?
I don't have my own hashtag. My program's so broad, it's really hard to find something that covers it all. But I have looped into several of Abby's soil health discussions because of some of the programming that we've done together.
How about you, Andy?
Yeah, I'm like Miranda. I don't have my own hashtag, but yeah, there's times where there's different potato programs going on or meetings or whatever that I might be attending or presenting at. That yeah, we try to get the word out a little bit, and so we utilize those.
I'll jump in here, Bob, if that's all right. We haven't really used Twitter a lot over in the 4-H department, but a couple of times when we've had trainings and so forth, Brad kind of came up with the hashtag ND4H as a way of connecting some things. We have used that a couple of times, but not to very much of an extent, I guess.
Awesome, thanks, Dean. Yeah, I was just about to say I was going to leave some space for other folks to jump in. Anyone else want to share your experience with Twitter, or do you have questions for our guests that we invited today about using Twitter? Is there anything particular that's holding you or your program area from using Twitter?
Intentionality or lack of.
That's holding me back from doing lots of things, Dean. Got a whole list. Okay, I want to make sure I'm leaving space for you guys to jump in here. Feel free to use your microphone. I see there we go. We got some action in the chat. Thanks, Kala. Lack of knowledge on it, since it's one you've never used, looking into it for fair. Okay, awesome. What do you, from our guests, so go ahead, Miranda.
So one thing I did when I started, and I still do this a lot because I have a Facebook page for my program and the Twitter account, is I just copy the same thing from my Facebook to Twitter Obviously I have to modify it to make it a little shorter, but that's an easy first step just to get things rolling.
Thanks, Miranda. That's good. That's a good suggestion. Yeah, just kind of get things started. When we've talked over the years about using social media, and some of you may have heard this before, we always talk about sort of getting the lay of the land. So listening first is sort of the first step before you start talking. Just like you're going to walk into a room, of people you don't know, you kind of want to take the pulse, kind of see what people are interested in and what they're looking to talk about. So that's always, just lurking. It's always a great way to learn about it. And so Sonia has shared in the chat some of the links to some of the Twitter accounts, so if you follow those accounts, those would be great ways to kind of start to get a feel for how other people are using it. And Cal is saying that she's hoping to use Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter when she goes out and looking at issues to post pictures so people know what is going on. It's awesome. So, Andy, you mentioned that a little bit about education, but Andrew Thostenson was going to be on. I don't see that Andrew's on. But Andrew wrote an email to me just talking about sort of using Twitter and in that kind of I don't want to call it breaking news, but when there's a hot issue, so he was talking about dicamba, I think, and how Twitter was sort of had that immediacy of getting the word out. Has anybody sort of experienced that, where you've got a hot issue that you've been able to jump onto and share information about through Twitter?
This is Andy. Yeah, we've actually done that. So sometimes when we find or positively confirm late blight in potatoes, it's because it's a community disease. It spreads really rapidly. We'll post that on Twitter. Traditionally, the way it's been through email, but a lot of our clientele, like to get alerts on their phones. So we've done it on Twitter, and sometimes on Facebook and Twitter, and usually when something like that's first announced, there's a ton of hits on it because everybody's, of course, looking at it and liking it or whatever.
Awesome. Thanks, Andy. So Cal is saying through Facebook she shared a tomato disease issue and it made the front page of the paper the next week. That's awesome. And Carrie is mentioning that when Equifax was hacked, that she used Twitter for education. That has been sort of a traditional sort of sweet spot for Twitter, is that kind of breaking news, for lack of a better term. Only in a small town and on a slow news week. Hey, it's still a win in my book, Calla. Thanks. Other questions, comments, things that you want to share, Twitter related or not? Is there any new tools that you're using or new approaches that you've adopted that you want to talk about? Questions that you have? Successes, failures? I'll open the floor to the crowd.
I just have an interesting comment in just knowing your audiences. So I've noticed through Facebook, I have a lot more livestock producers that are on Facebook, but then the crop producers or the integrated producers are more on Twitter. So I guess it depends on your target audience too, as to which one you're going to utilize more.
Thanks, Miranda.
Miranda, this is Becky. Could you repeat who's on which more? That was interesting, and I missed it.
See, I think from what I've seen, I have more livestock producers that are active on Facebook and more crop producers that are active on Twitter. And then Twitter tends to be a little more younger than Facebook also, but it seems like, I don't know if it's just that generation or that way the industry is, where livestock producers are more conservative, so they don't take on things as quickly, or new things as quickly as our crop producers tend to. But that's what I've noticed between my two accounts.
Thank you. This is Becky, and Bob knows I don't use Twitter hardly at all, but we had a Chattanooga, Tennessee TV station run a story about the winter survival kit here a few weeks ago, and it said it was Android only, which was not accurate. It was also iOS. So I looked up this guy on his webpage, and it said to contact me, go to Twitter. It didn't have an email address or a phone number or anything else. It only had Twitter. So that's how I told him that, well, just want you to know that it is also available on iOS. Of course, then I forgot to go back and check and see if he noticed that. But so simply contacting somebody through Twitter.
Thanks, Becky. And Cal is observing that just found more women are more active on Facebook versus men. Stacy shared a couple of scheduling tools, Hootsuite and Later. I haven't used Later, Stacy, but I use TweetDeck. I'm not a big Twitter scheduler, but it has that capability, and every once in a while I've scheduled some things. Yeah, and that Facebook has scheduling posts built in. That's awesome for Facebook pages. Anything else you guys want to share, talk about, have questions about?
So, Bob, this is Andy. One thing I've been messing around with a little bit is the Twitter analytics, because especially after just going through doing all our annual report stuff, it's always a challenge of how do you report the value of the work you're doing on social media. Because traditionally it's very easily for me just to report, oh, I got so many followers or whatever. You can break it down in Facebook, like, by country or whatever. But I think as we get into this more, we need to look more at how many people are reposting what we're saying, or how do you, I guess, get that value out of it, that educational piece, and really changing lives. And I'm not exactly sure how to do that yet either, but I've been trying to figure that out somewhat.
Yeah, I think that, thanks, Andy. And that is definitely a conversation I think worth having. Andrew Thostenson is interested in that conversation as well. And, it's always tricky with the social media analytics to see if you're bean counting or, if you're actually measuring something worth value. So, yeah, dig into that. That'd be great. Okay. Awesome. So I see some takers, Miranda and Stacy, for the talking more about analytics, Twitter analytics, and some of the other social media analytics. Extension Innovation Team will definitely put that on our list of things to get organized. Any other last chance for questions, thoughts, sharing, successes, challenges? Awesome. Well, there's a provost meeting on campus some folks are going to be going to, so we'll get you guys off to that. Thanks for joining us for the Tech Coffee Break, first Monday of next month. I don't have my calendar in front of my face, but we'll be sending out a reminder via email. Hope that you can join us then, and thanks for joining this Tech Coffee Break. Have a great day, guys.